Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Vegan World 2026 Moonshot podcast. And I consider today's episode to be one of the most important ones that we have done. And this is about the documentary The Land of Ahimsa. And I'm joined by Dolly Vyas-Ahuja, one of the producers of the documentary, and Ray Kowalchuk, the editor. So thank you, Dolly and Ray, for joining us. And I have said that, this is one of the most important documentaries that I've ever been involved with because it's about India and the trajectory of India. And the trajectory of India is going to determine the trajectory of the world. I really truly believe that. If India keeps going down the path of eating more and more animals and more dairy and more destruction of the planet is going to die. It's as simple as that. So, uh, India to me is where ahimsa was first thought of, conceived, expressed by human beings. Ahimsa, non-violence to all beings. And thank you, Dolly, for having the vision to start this project and to uh, take it to fruition. So tell us, how did you get inspired to do this?
Well, Dr. Rao, gosh, first is my healing tree. I owe everything to my healing tree where I started meditating. And of course, the tree led me to go vegan. We can get into all that later if we have time. But soon after that, the tree gave me an idea that I need to start talking to my own Indian community. And that's
Hmm.
when I started talking at Jain temples. And I also I opened up a YouTube channel and started making little recipes. So one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I was invited to the animal liberation in Pune, one of the biggest animal liberation marches in Pune, India in 2019. I
Hmm.
started making friends with vegan activists in India, and I knew that I had to go and support my brothers and sisters. I also was invited to speak at the World Vegan Conference in July of 2019. So I told my husband, when I go to India, I want to interview these amazing activists and vegan prominent members of India for my small YouTube channel.
Hmm.
And I thought about this. I must have slept on it for a few days and woke up one day and said to him, why don't we make a documentary? I got to go to India anyway. We're going to be traveling throughout India, meeting these amazing people. There hasn't been really a documentary about veganism in India. And my husband was very supportive, and he says, that's a great idea. So we called his childhood friend up, Mr. Ariman Ramsey, who happens to be a Bollywood director. And we asked him, this is our plan. Could you help us? And he was very supportive. And here I am, And I'm just a mom. I'm just a stay-at-home mom. But I want everyone to know out there with your passion and your action, anything in this world is possible. We can all raise our voice or do something for animal liberation. And I'm also a granddaughter of a freedom fighter, and his name was Chaganlal Joshi. And he fought with Gandhiji on many, many social justice issues. He was side by side with Mahatma Gandhi at the Salt March. He also lived with him in the ashram. He's gone to jail with Gandhiji. And so, in the same way, today I'm following in my grandfather's footsteps. I'm also a freedom fighter, an animal freedom fighter, fighting for the greatest social justice issue talked about today, speciesism. So, this is what's all got me motivated to make this film. And here I am today.
Yeah, thank you, Dolly. Yeah, it's been 2 3 years of hard work,
Oh, gosh.
and I know Ray. When did you get involved with the documentary?
It's been about a year ago, yeah.
It's been a year for you. Wow. Okay.
It was very much a part-time project at first, but then eventually we realized that there was a lot that we wanted to say and show, and the restructuring of the film was quite exciting because now it's kind of a series of documentaries. The themes are, it's going to really offer to India a lot of different talking points, and there's like a little game changer section in it where we talk about athletes, and there's health,
Right.
really comprehensive breakdown of what's good about a vegan diet and what's good about leaving all the other diets behind. So I think it's going to serve so many different roles in the in India and the diaspora that's going to be following it, and it's so helpful and instructive for everybody else. And I was really blown away by how it really focuses India as the place where the change is going to happen. And I'm not sure if I believed that before editing the documentary, but I absolutely believe it now. Some of the
Oh,
commentary
wow.
is extremely convincing that that India is going to lead the way in these kind of things. And the potential is definitely there.
Yeah. No, I mean, India has obviously a tremendous role to play, because if India keeps going down the path of eating more and more dairy, more and more meat, I mean, we are done, and I say we are done as a planet. And and this is why I say that um, it is, to me, it is critical that we expose this to almost every Indian on the planet, this documentary. Okay. So I've seen it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to watch it before it gets released. And I am blown away by the job that you've done. I'm blown away, really. So Ray, I congratulate you for doing
Yes,
such
Rick,
a
thank
great
you.
job of editing it. And
Thank you. And I have to say, as an executive producer, you're very creatively involved in ways that many executives are not, and that's your guidance and what I've learned from you over the years has worked its way into the documentary in many subtle ways. But
thank you.
you're, of course, you're also featured in the documentary as well. You contribute some very key understanding that really changes the level of the intent.
Mhm.
Just getting people to go vegan isn't enough. We have to look at things from a systemic perspective, and you provide that to the documentary, as well as some spiritual insight, which is
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's important to bring the spiritual insights into the documentary, and you've done a great job of editing that in. To me, India is the spiritual heart of Mother Earth.
That's
You
right.
know, when we look at Mother Earth, the Earth as a living being, there's no question to me that India is the spiritual heart, and it's to wake up that spiritual heart and bring love into everything that we do from that heart, you know, and help the world then see that. So I love how the movie progressed, from when you got involved, Ray. I saw it at that time when before COVID, I guess, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did the COVID influence the documentary, Dolly?
Well, we had a lot of challenges. Are you talking about the challenges that we went through, or
Right.
because
Yeah.
the challenges, right?
Uh-huh.
We went through so many challenges, Dr. Rao, because first of all, my editor got a brain tumor, and we're so
Oh
sorry
no.
about. And he moved from Mumbai to Pune, and they kind of gave me the documentary at the point that it was. Um, Also, because of COVID, everything was closed down in India. I was very strict to get out. The studio where I had my hard disk, the owner passed away. It was very hard for my director to even get into the studio, get our hard disk. It
Mm.
took a long time for get our hard disk back. That's when you introduced me to Ray, and thank you, Ray, so much. If it wasn't for you, all of this wouldn't be possible. And so we went through many, many challenges, but we conquered them, and here we are. And we're done, and we want to tour with this film this August. So we've been through a lot, but we're almost done. And in all of the India, and we want to show this globally around the world.
Yeah, yeah. It's once we tour India and get Indians to watch it,
Yeah.
uh, I think it will really show the rest of the world how we can connect us all together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I heard one of our viewers says that the Animal Liberation March is on 28th of May.
Yes. Yes. Yes, Dr. Rao, and I really wish I could go to that because I went to the first one, but since we're
Right.
going in August, and I'm unable to go. But I encourage everyone, go to India, march for the animals, animal liberation. We must support our brothers and sisters in India.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so significant for me because that happens to be my dad's birthday. So, yeah, things are coming together, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Ray, what are the sections in the documentary? How did you break that up?
The um, beginning really starts with Dolly's story,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it takes a much more aggressive approach than a lot of documentaries because there's this kind of format that I've seen where we kind of ease the audience into the ethical topics because that's usually a lot more challenging. But Dolly, confronted the harm done to animals and went vegan, and she
Mm-hmm.
leads from that point, and we take a very strong ethical stance right at the beginning of the documentary, and I think that helps because it'll reach the broadest audience. She is going to back to India to discover this heart of ahimsa, but it really reflects on hers and many other vegans are putting the animals first,
Mm-hmm.
and not easing into an appeal to the more human aspects. And I think that helps to set an emotional tone for what comes, and it from there we transition into more of a message directly to the Indian population and Hinduism and
Right.
the fundamentals of Hinduism, and where a lot of the practice of those people have been led astray, and generally from the influence of Western cultures,
Right.
and being kind of amplifying this small detail of Hindu culture that is dairy consumption into something that's now one of the biggest industries that and exports of that country, and that's so many different ways that's a difficult obstacle to get a nation that's so addicted to dairy the same way that everybody else is, and but I don't think it'll be that difficult to roll that back, and
Right.
the
So the
exploration of
film,
some of the spiritual themes are really exciting moments to witness.
yeah, and to add to that, Dr. Rao, the movie follows my journey of my overnight transformation to veganism, my passion to be the voice for the voiceless.
Mm-hmm.
We get to interview plant-based doctors, activists, athletes, vegan entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, many foundations and sanctuaries. So the film is very holistic. It covers um, animal cruelty and, of course, the cruelty of dairy, but not just the cruelty of dairy, but this rise of meat eating in India. Of
Mhm.
course, it covers our health. India is the diabetes capital of the world. So it covers our health, it covers the environment. India's already destroyed 80% of its forests, the amount of methane that India is releasing, the amount of water and land. All this is very important. Um, and so I think it's a very holistic film. I'd love to do a future film on just dairy, but this is just a start to start provoking thoughts and getting the people to talk.
Right. So, what is your best case outcome for this documentary? What
The
would you
best,
like to see happen?
yeah. So the best case outcome, Dr. Rao, would be, of course, for India and Indians all around the world to watch this film. This film will inspire them to change from their old habits, inspire them to live a vegan lifestyle. And I really think that India is open to hearing this message. India, being a prominent vegetarian country, now has migrated to eating a lot of meat. But I think with this film and this message, because of the deep veneration of Ahimsa, nonviolence, Bhumi Devi, Mother Earth, India is really ready to hear this message. And I think that India, they're going to sway. They're going to sway to full vegan after this film and after this message. And I really want Indians to adapt to veganism as the new norm and becoming the Ahimsa country we were always meant to be.
Yeah.
And we can no longer use our religious traditions to cause so much harm and suffering. We got to do the greater good in today's world.
Yeah.
We were talking about the sections, and after the spiritual section, it goes into a very strong call to activism. Because
Hmm.
Dolly's the granddaughter of one of Gandhi's colleagues who marched right next to him in the Salt March, and she is applying this desire to change the world, and openly declares, "I want to change the world for animals." And
Mhm.
there's so many elements, of course, that illustrate that this changes the world for humans as well. It really finds our right place. It doesn't necessarily look back to a place when things were perfect and try to replicate that. It's everything's moving forward. And
Right.
as an editor, I can only do something if the footage is there. And I think Dolly had all exactly the right questions to ask. I've seen all the footage, so I know she did a great job of finding the right people to be in the documentary
Mhm.
and asking them the right questions. There's a lot of scholarship that went into this before the actual shooting. So thank you for the compliments for the editing, but you can't edit something that isn't already there. And I think the crew, however much the situation was very very tight and um, kind of fell awkwardly at the end, I'm picking up a legacy of something that obviously is just a passion for the people involved in it for so long. It's really exciting to see it finally come to the screen.
Yeah, and we've got to interview some amazing people in our film. Number one, Dr. Sailesh Rao.
Yeah.
And for viewers that don't know, I met Dr. Rao in my early journey. And I was actually I was reading an article by Richard Roll, and I think it was called Ahimsa Response to Climate Change.
Hmm.
And I read that, and oh my God, I was like, I've got to find Dr. Rao. And I must have Googled him and went on his website, and I called Dr. Rao. We spoke for like 45 minutes. And at that point in my life, I was like, Dr. Rao, I want to speak at Jain temples, and I want to educate them on how to get dairy out of the temples. And Dr. Rao's the one who taught me that they can always use coconut milk or coconut water or simply water when are bathing our gods. And we can use coconut oil to light our divas. And since then, I've been Dr. Rao's friend. I've been a part of Vegan World 2026. I'm so I'm so happy that Dr. Rao's in this film and supporting me. And we have Jerome Flynn. Um, Also executive producer. He is the actor for Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
Dr. Will Tuttle, Dr. Neil Bernard, Philip Wallen, Keegan Kuhn, Dr. Vandana Chola, Monish Chola, Menka Gandhi, from great advocate from Delhi, India, and just some great activists. Darshana, Kuntal Joshi, the first mountaineer who climbed Mount Everest. So amazing people that I got to meet in my journey. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dolly. Yeah, I remember that call we had. Getting it
Yes,
out of the blue. Yeah, and and then I came and visited you, right?
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, and I spoke at a Jain temple there, and
Yes,
it's been an amazing journey, Dolly. And
I know.
yeah.
And I tell everybody, you know, Dr. Rao is truly my Mahatma Gandhi,
Oh no.
of this day, this century. And I'm right there by his side with not just Dr. Rao. We're all helping Dr. Rao to change this world for peace and harmony. And like Dr. Rao says, we are no longer a predator species. We're now a caretaker species. We will no longer be known as Homo sapiens, but Homo Ahimsa. So beautiful.
Well, Dolly, I have to say that I'm not the one who's leading this. If anyone is leading this, it's my granddaughter.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
the children, who are
Yeah.
demanding that they need to be brought up in a world where they don't see monsters around
Yes.
them. That's to me that one episode with my granddaughter completely changed my outlook. Because I began to see through the eyes of a child, and when they first discover that animals are their relatives and that they're
Yeah.
being hurt,
Yeah.
that's a world full of monsters for her. And I don't want that for any child.
That's right.
And clearly we have to get there. We have to get there, and India is going to lead the way. I mean, I'm convinced of that. uh, uh, because India has the base food in India is fundamentally vegan.
That's right.
you know Dal chawal is vegan. That's the food that everyone eats. That's the normal food. That's the base food of India.
That's right. That's right.
Roti sabji is
Yeah.
vegan.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Dr. Ra, by default, our Indian food is such beautiful, like Dr. Neil Bernard says, is jewels. Our herbs, our spices,
yeah,
dal, chawal, legumes, grains, pulses. And by default, they're vegan. If we just let the ghee go and the dairy go, so much of our Indian food is vegan already.
yeah, yeah. But one thing I've been learning, I've been taking the McDougall 12-day program. Today is actually the last day of my 12-day program. And I've been learning about oil
Yeah.
and why oil is uh, actually harmful for our health. Anything that's processed and concentrated becomes harmful for our health.
Yes.
And so I've been cutting out oil, and I realized that most of the all the dishes that I cooked before I can cook without oil.
Oh,
Either dry roast it or add a splash of water or splash of vegetable broth, and it tastes a little bit different. It's not going to be tasting the same. I'm not going to claim it tastes exactly the same as before. It's different, but it tastes pure. It tastes healthy actually, and
yeah.
you can feel it. I
Yeah.
can feel it now when I eat oil. Anything with oil at a restaurant, I can feel it.
Yeah. And Indian cooking has such heavy oil in it. We use a lot of oil in our cooking. So they say even a tablespoon is 14 grams of fat.
Hmm.
So, yeah, if we get rid of the oil, a lot of these diseases itself, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, so much heavy oil eating, heavy ghee, all this stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll only, the same ethical diet that is going to help the animals is the same ethical diet that is going to optimize our health. And the same ethical diet is going to heal the planet.
Right.
It's an interesting metaphor because you're talking about changing something that was fundamental to your diet, like oil, and you're reprogramming your taste buds, and that's going to, once you do, you can taste all the great things about food that you're currently ignoring because you go into the easy fix, the calories from fat, from
Right.
the flavorings that we might be programmed to seek out, but the world of plant food is just so abundant, and most people are ignoring it. And I think that's a great metaphor for the redesign of our consumption. We have to change our taste buds for what we want in life, and how desire to be part of the change that happens in the world. It's not enough just to be vegan. There's a vegan movement, and there's so much joy that's involved in that. And most people who aren't vegan fear it. They fear it's the loss of something, but it's just the gain of so much more joy for life that we have a happy message, and it's there's a lot of scary stuff that comes along with it. But the conclusion is definitely a happy one. It's the only future that I'm interested in.
Yeah. It's a future where children can be brought up in a world where you don't have to lie to them at all. Imagine that, right? You don't have to lie to them about anything. You can tell them the truth. And because they are born with ahimsa in their hearts, with
That's it.
compassion in their hearts. They are
That's
born that way.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah. And so we can just stay that way. You don't have
Yeah.
to then convince them to eat something that's really bad for them so that we can give them metformin when they grow up. This is like a metformin farming that's going on here.
Yeah. I mean, Dr. Rao, I didn't have my awakening till I was in my late 40s, and
Right.
I always loved animals. And, even I was brought up in a vegetarian family. When we moved to America, we were never taught, like, oh, you shouldn't eat meat. Or I think my dad just thought we're living in America. We started eating meat at the lunch school program. That's how it started for us. But
Hmm.
at home, it was always vegetarian. But I thought they probably thought we should adapt to the American lifestyle. But if
Hmm.
I was taught as a child, I would never be a part of this. I've loved animals all my life, until I had my awakening. So we all have this inner, like you say, we're born with this compassion. And if
Right.
we were taught, it's wrong to harm others, it's wrong to harm another life, we would all just do it easily.
Yeah. It's creating a system where that's normalized, that you
Yes.
can live that way.
Yes.
And so, and I see, the food system as the way to make that happen as quickly as possible. Because in a food system where if healthy food is freely available to every human being on the planet, then health becomes normal. Because
Yeah.
when you give out free food, people take it, they eat it, and they try it out, and they say, "Hey, it makes me feel good." I've seen examples of that. When we do our food healers demonstrations, people just come back for more. They like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Victor Hugo said that there's no stopping an idea whose time has come, and I think the everybody kind of talks about the human evolution, and of
Mhm.
course biological evolution is slow. The social evolution is going to be very fast, and the concept of Homo Ahimsa is so exciting. We could thank
Mhm.
Judy Carmen, who's got a book by the same name, for coining that term.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the exciting graphics that we incorporated, it was at first just something to just cover the comment that we're evolving, but I used the ascent of man, that famous
Mhm.
chimp to hominid to upright human being using tools, and everything's kind of up, and this kind of you know uh, pride of power and strength and self sufficiency, and we've modified that. So now instead of going up after man, Homo Ahimsa is represented by a young Indian girl,
Mhm.
and that's something so profound that we incorporated into the trailer itself. And I think that's that's exactly where we're headed towards, is a humility.
Right.
And I don't think that the West is capable of humility. I think you see that is the main obstacle, and it's something that we're going to learn from the world that we've always called the developing world. Development is kind of the problem in the Anthropocene. We have to learn how to live simply, and food is such a fundamental part of our lives that Indian food gives you the keys to be able to retrain things in your life. I look to Indian food to redefine breakfast, because I know we've been taught bacon and eggs for breakfast. This
Right.
This idea that was really foisted upon us. There was no breakfast food until marketing came along. But
Right.
I now incorporate poha into my breakfast regimen.
Oh,
All right, all right.
As a Westerner, I don't know what to do besides toast or cereal or eggs and bacon. Like, we're really limited in our food, and veganism
Yeah.
just offers such a wide expansion of food, not a limitation.
yeah.
Non-vegans listening, it's not a limitation. You're going to expand your horizons and enjoy food in ways that isn't just salt, sugar, fat. Just pursuing the pleasure traps
Yeah.
And in India,
that's the
Ray,
game.
everyone has to have their morning chai. Like when I speak at Jain temples, that's the one thing they'll ask for. What about my morning chai? What about my morning chai? Well, it's so simple. We have, over 30 plant-based milks we can put in chai. Nothing has to change. We can veganize anything. And actually, chai actually tastes good without any plant-based milk either. You can just drink tea as it is. But I used to make homemade almond milk. Now I'm really into the oat milk. It's very creamy. The chai tastes just like chai. And we can make these simple changes.
Yeah. Well, I also talk about getting rid of the axiom of consumerism, which is
Yeah.
that happiness comes from consuming and from pleasures. Actually, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we have to look within, which is yoga. Yoga 101. It's
Yeah.
Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which is to look for happiness within you and to quiet your mind and
Yes.
stop looking for it out there.
Exactly.
And that's
Don't
something
just
that
live to
India
be.
also brought to the world, right?
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
been a while since I read your books, Carbon Dharma and Carbon Yoga, but they're on my shelf, and I look at them every day. And just the concept that you taught me of Dharma and yoga, and the right way of thinking and the right way of acting, and those are lessons that we should carry with us every day. Is that it doesn't matter, like we have to slough off that attitude that life is about indulgence. What is the next experience that you can have that tops the last one that you can brag about on social media? Think the right way and be the right way, behave the right way, and just
Mhm.
and Gandhi shares that message with us, and it really creates a life that has much more depth than just the one that's been given to us as consumer units in an economy.
Right. Yeah, it's getting rid of the mindset that growth is foundational to how we have to live. It isn't. I mean, we grow internally. Okay,
Right.
it's not about external consumption. That's not the growth. The growth that you're looking for is internal growth, and that's something that I think we can teach our children, and they understand it
Mm-hmm.
very easily. So
Yeah.
this has to be something that we teach in schools as well. So Dolly, how can we support you? How can we help you get the message out?
Yes. Well, with all your generous contributions, please join us on Facebook and Instagram. Land of Ahimsa. Our income link is on there. With your contributions, all of us together can be a part of changing this world. With your contributions, we will be able to show this movie globally. Viewers will be compelled to live by their true nature. Viewers will be compelled to treat all animals peacefully. So we are so grateful. Please contribute in any way. Every little bit counts. the most important thing is to please share it so more and more people can see it, like and share our page. And we are so grateful for everyone's support.
Thank you. I posted the link to the Indigo campaign
Thank you.
on Facebook and in the comments. So please support the campaign. Let's raise the funds that Dolly needs to spread this word, spread this documentary throughout India, and
Put Ahimsa back into action.
put Ahimsa back into action. Yeah, it's going to happen, Dolly. This
I
is
know.
inevitable.
That's right. That's right.
So, any last words, Ray?
Well, it's been very exciting because I've spent my career in television after being a film student, where we're taught that television is furniture and film is art. So this is my first feature film that I've been involved in, and it's really exciting because I've largely pivoted my life from that world of media to activism, and now I'm able to do both. And that's been just such a reward in so many ways. Apply my skills, and I implore anybody that's watching, if you've got skills that is serving the current system, find ways to pivot into the future. You know, you'll only be happier and more confident in life when you are part of that movement. The movement is so exciting.
Thank you. How about you, Dolly? Anything else you want to tell us?
Well, this word Ahimsa, it comes from India, and it was written 5,000 years ago, which means non-violence to all beings, not just human beings, but to all sentient beings in everything we think, say, and do. And in India, we actually say Ahimsa Paramo Dharam, which is the highest duty, the highest moral virtue. And, at the end of the movie, we have a beautiful singer who sings this song, Ahimsa Paramo Dharam. When you watch it, you'll start singing it yourself. And yeah, we really need to, we've gotten so far away from this word. Let's get back. Let's get back to Ahimsa, the land of Ahimsa. Let's get back to freedom, equality, salvation, harmony. And we can do this.
Yeah, it's taking all of the resources that we have put together and creating something new, creating something that is Homo Ahimsa. How Homo Ahimsa can live in this world. And
Yeah.
so leave a predator past behind, and
Right.
become the caretaker species of the planet.
Right.
Because I say that science has contributed so much to our understanding. The Western world has contributed so much to our understanding, and technology is useful for this new role that we have to take on. Because if we don't measure temperature, we won't know what's going on. We won't be able to monitor the planet and make sure that it doesn't go into another ice age again. So I see that everything happened for a reason,
Yeah.
and that everyone can pat themselves on the back and say, okay, now we are done with that. We're not going to lie to each other anymore. Let us just create a world in which we don't have to lie to our children either.
Yep.
And that's such a beautiful journey that we are on,
Yeah.
and it gives me great pleasure to be on that journey with both of you.
And as we evolve as a culture, so do our traditions. Let's
Mhm.
create a new divine imprint in the land of Ahimsa, where no one has to be harmed.
It's great that when I first became an environmentalist, I thought that culture was the obstacle to the solutions, and to see that solutions come from culture, celebrating the best elements of our culture is that's the way that it's going to change, because we need a motivation beyond just facts. The science gives us the information, but unless there's a story unless there's an emotional momentum behind it, things don't change. And people, a lot of environmentalists think that we're doomed because the human race can't change. The human race must change, and we're living in that time where we're going to see that happen. And that's terrifying and exciting at the same
Yeah.
time.
I mean, we have always changed. Humans have always changed. In fact, that's what history is. It's a chronicle of all the changes that happened in history, right? Over time.
And I mentioned that the now is the time, like Victor Hugo said, you can't stop an idea's time is coming. And this is a project that I'm in Toronto. Dolly's in near Houston, and the film was shot in India. So the
Right.
directors in India. This is a collaboration of nations in using a technology. So the answer isn't technology is bad. Technology is bringing us together. I mentioned I was a mass communications academic, so the global village is being realized, and we're celebrating India, but the real India, not the nation of India, the nation in the sense of the people rather than the government, because the governments aren't solving our problems. They're going to the COP summit, and Sailesh was outside of that summit with the wisdom, and while inside it's just dust kicking between economic entities. Economists can't solve this problem. It has to be people. It has to be the people of India, not the nation of India.
Yeah.
And I'm a Westerner, but I'm ready to follow.
Wonderful. Thank you. And it's storytellers. It's the artists who change culture, not economists.
Yeah.
Economists cannot do that. And nations, governments cannot do that. Governments are not artists. And this is why art is so important, and storytelling and movies and documentaries are so important. And so it's been my privilege to be part of this project. And thank you so much for initiating it, Dolly. And
Thank you.
I'm thrilled that I got to know you, and through you, I got to know your grandfather,
Thank you.
and have such a intimate connection now with Gandhi.
Yes. Yes.
Thank
And
you.
I don't know if people know who are watching, but India is one of the largest beef exporters in this world. We're almost the second largest in leather. Now, how could this be? If the cow is considered holy and sacred, the whole world knows that in India, the cow is considered holy and sacred.
Right.
But is this true? Is it true? Is the question.
Yeah,
And it's happening. You'll have to watch the film, but it's happening.
it's happening. We'll make it true. And the cow is a symbol of all animals. So it's saying all animals and all of the earth is sacred.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what indigenous people have been saying to us, right? It's not that it's something new. Indigenous people have been saying to us, all earth is sacred.
That's
When we
right.
start living in a way routinely where we treat all of earth as sacred, the planet will be fine and we'll be fine. We'll
Yeah.
be healthy and planet will be fine. The animals will be happy. So, to me, it's a natural progression
Yeah.
of humanity.
Yeah.
Returning back to our roots,
Right.
returning back to the child that we were.
Yeah.
Right?
And we've been taught that we own land, and now we have the opportunity to use that indigenous wisdom that we belong to the land.
We belong to the land. Yeah.
Yes.
That is, reversing that hubris that has got us into this problem.
Yeah. We are all children of Mother Earth.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All
That's
is
where we are all.
consciousness, therefore sacred. And we are all in this together, you know. And you're right, the Native Americans have been teaching us, Mother Earth is not just a chunk of dirt. She's alive and she keeps us alive. And it
Mhm.
is our duty, our responsibility to keep this earth, to keep Mother Earth bountiful, abundant for our future generations.
Yeah. Exactly. Children are born with that purity of thought. I remember my granddaughter telling me, that power cord that's connected to my laptop is now sad. because it's not connected to the laptop anymore.
Yeah.
So for her, even the power cord to the laptop has consciousness,
Yep.
has feelings, has
Yep.
emotions. And so when we live with that kind of mindset, that's when we start treating all life as sacred, all beings as sacred, and the earth as sacred.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And it is there in India. That's the beauty of it. It's there among 1/6 of humanity.
Yeah.
It's foundational to 1/6 of humanity at least. And so we can bring it back. It's latent, it's always there. Well, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. And let's get uh, let's get your campaign, make it successful.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rao.
People are bound to ask, how can we see this film? And helping the Indiegogo campaign is going to open up the avenues by which you'll be able to see the film. It's going to be doing its festival circuit, so keep an eye open on where it might be available to be seen. And it'll be exciting to engage with people online. And I'd love to have some live events where we watch it
Yeah, we'll
and discuss it.
make sure that it's easily available or freely available to almost every human being on the planet. Okay, that's our goal, to make that happen. So thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Does anyone have questions in the chat, Dr. Rao?
No, I looked through that. Oh, here's a great statement from Deepak Udaramane. I wanted to show that. It's at the precipice that we change.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
And we are at the precipice, and we are going to change.
And a precipice is like a cliff, so it's always a scary metaphor. But this really takes the fear out of it. This is something that not only can we do, we must and we will.
We must and we will. Yeah. Thank you.